Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Big Bold You, a show that was really set up to help each and every one of you out there to think bigger in your life. And I'm telling you, the person that we've got on our show today, she has really out. I don't want to say outthunk herself, but she's playing big because you have really thought bigger, and that's what you have to do. And you got to be bolder, which means you've got to step out of your comfort zone. And I know that it's hard to do that sometimes because you don't want to. You get real comfortable, and sometimes you need people to push you out, and that's what we're going to do. Hopefully, is inspire you. And if you need to be pushed out, we'll push you out as well because we want you to become the best version of you. I believe that we live in a world where there is a war between good and evil, and the only way evil wins is when good people don't do enough. And I will tell you, I know each and every one of you out there has got so much greatness within you, and we want to help you develop and create what you are supposed to create here in this world. So every Monday we have a guest, and we are so excited to have Leslie Flores on. Leslie, thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be with you, Jen.
You are so amazing, and you're so inspirational, and you just get things done, and that's really what I want to talk about. First of all, you are the CEO and founder of Moments by Design, and we're going to talk a lot about that because it's incredible. But I want to know about you first. I want to know just really, who is Leslie Forrest?
That's a loaded question.
Only what you want to tell, okay?
So, I just Texas girl who spent some time on the East Coast, worked in so many different things. Life is kind of crazy that way. It takes you
Of course
in
it is.
these crazy journeys. Started out in finance, went over to sales, went over into commercial real estate, and now I'm doing Moments by Design, where you get to create all of your lovely
And the
moments.
thing is, as I look at Leslie, I'm thinking, how did you have time to do all those things? Because she looks so young and she is so young. But I think it's important that we talk to the fact that in our lives, we are going to do multiple things. Don't pigeonhole yourself that just because you start in one area or one industry means that that's where you're going to be your whole industry. You start and you learn from every experience, from every industry. And what you're really doing, I always say, is you're preparing yourself for what your legacy is supposed to be. So tell me, what are some of the things that you learned in your childhood, learned in some of these other industries that prepared you for where you are right now and Moments by Design?
So for me, it was really a culmination of everything.
Right.
There is not one small factor that went on throughout my lifetime
Right.
that didn't lead me to this point. From, yes, tea parties with my teddy bears to running, big segments of, multi-billion dollar global companies. All of it led me to right here. The people that I've been blessed to have in my life, the mentors that have just taken me and sat me down and said, okay, I know you think you know it all, but you really don't.
Hey, don't you? But okay, let me ask you that. Let me ask you something about that. When they were sitting you down and telling you that, were you open and did you receive it, or at the beginning did you were like, what do they know?
There was definitely some of that at the beginning. Especially in my 20s, right?
Right.
It was kind of that realization too, kind of you have with your parents as you get older, and you're like, darn it, mom and dad were right.
Right.
And I had that with some of my mentors and my leaders in business as well, where I was like, man, they were right. And they were gracious enough to let me go out and figure it out.
Right. But here are a couple points I want to make. Number one, somebody has to really love you, care about you, they see your potential for them to sit you down and say, hold on a second, you're not seeing something. And then when we have that happen, and if we're lucky and blessed and fortunate, you have people in your lives that will do that. But when that happens, you always have to be open. You always have to realize that you don't know what you don't know. You can't see what you can't see. And listen, we all have blind spots, and there's a lot of stuff going on in our orbit that we are just not aware of. We're not tuned into. So when you have those situations where people sat you down, and at the beginning, of course, like you said, it was a little bit hard to hear sometimes, because I remember in my 20s when it happened to me, I felt like somebody just punched me in the gut. I was like, ow.
Pretty much.
I was like, ow, oh my gosh, and I was resistant. And I remember the first time it happened was, and I wouldn't, well, first of all, I want to know what some of the things that they said to you. But for me, it was one of the first things somebody said to me. I was working in a hospital setting, and somebody said, Jens, you're not open to other people's ideas. And I was like, what? Of course I'm open to other people's ideas, And it was just like a sock in the gut. And I remember I went home and I thought about it a lot. And I said to myself, and I want to know your thought process and how you worked through it. But I said to myself, well, they're either right or they're wrong.
Yep.
I mean, that's
Been there, done that.
I mean, they're either right or they're wrong. But if they're right, why don't I just start keeping my mouth shut and asking people, well, what are your thoughts and what are your ideas, and see if that makes a substantial impact in my life. And let me tell you, it didn't take me long. It didn't take me long, but that's what I thought. My thought process is they're either right or they're wrong. But if I start to take that and I implement it and they're right, it's going to be huge for me. And if I implement it and they're wrong, okay, they're wrong. But what was your thought process?
So for me, there was a couple of things. One of the big ones that I heard early on was kind of similar to yours, was because I moved so quickly.
Me too.
And it was just, hey, we need you to slow down because you're just already at Z and we're still here at trying to catch up to.
Exactly.
and I'm just like, come on guys, let's go. And with that, and again, because I was like, well, but it's the right way. This is
Right.
the business decision that we should be making. And for me, that was hard to hear. I was like, but we're doing it right, and why do I need to slow down just
Right.
to let everybody else catch up? But in doing that, I found out that it opened so much more for me. People
Right.
thought that I was more collaborative. People wanted to work with me more, which was so much more important as I grew my career and I was working cross-functional teams and leading these teams. You got to win hearts and minds, and I wasn't exactly doing that.
Exactly. And one of the things that we do every month is we read a book. I facilitate a mastermind, as you know,
Yes.
and it's my baby. I love my mastermind because it has been my experience over 3 years to really help somebody transform their lives. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So the book that we read in our mastermind every month is the book that we talk about on the show. And this month is The Subconscious Speaks. And you can't see the green. I mean, you can't see that. Look how you can see my name, Johnson, because the title is green. So The Subconscious Speaks is the name of the book. But one of the things that you were just saying about the buy-in and realizing that success doesn't happen alone. If you're going to be a CEO of a company, which you are, which we're going to jump into, if you're going to be a founder or creator of anything, you have to get other people's buy-in because you can't do it by yourself. No. And as we all know, people they're not going to run as fast as you or me. They just don't. But we have to bring people along the journey. And in the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Success by John Maxwell, that's one of the things that he talks about is you have to get people's buy-in. So how fortunate for you that you listened to that advice. But did you think, what was your thought process when somebody said that to you? Did you think, no, they're wrong? Or how did you get to the point where you're like, okay, let me change?
There was some definite,
resistance
at first, just because I was like, okay, well, but why should my progress be impeded by somebody else's not being able to get there quite as quickly? So there was some resistance. And then as I started, again, growing and realizing, becoming more of a leader in corporate America, and I needed teams to actually buy into me. I needed teams to want to say yes to the initiatives that I was putting in place. I had to sit back and do a whole lot of just self-internalization and see like, okay, why am I so resistant to this? And what am I really losing by not giving them the time to get to that buy-in? And I mean, what am I losing by spending, even if it's 2 hours, but
Right.
explaining to them the entire process that has gone on in this crazy brain to get to where it is that I want to go to?
Well, and people want to belong. They
Yeah.
want to belong in something. They want to have they want to have culture. I mean, it's very important. You know that saying, people don't know, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I mean, it
Yep.
is sincerely so true. And what one of my personal sayings is, success happens in decades. So to your point, you can take 2 hours. I mean, you can take 2 hours, folks, and tell people your ideas and share with people your vision, because people are dying for vision. So here you are, and I love what you said, that where you are really is the cumulative just of every experience, because that's really what it is. And you're even in preparation for something bigger than what you are doing right now.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we all are. I mean, you right now out there, you are in preparation for something so much bigger than what you're doing right now, and really so much bigger than what people are thinking as well. So here you are, you're in corporate America, you're in finance, you're in leadership, you kind of go here and there, and then you just stumble into what you're doing right now, and tell everybody what that is, because it's a big deal.
I like to think this way.
It is a big deal.
So it was completely by accident. Had left one corporate job for another corporate job, had some time off in between. And during that time, my darling sweet husband decided to throw this New Year's Eve baby's birthday party. Needless to say, please never have my husband throw your birthday parties. So I came up with a way to kind of facilitate parties, because I realized that in my last corporate job, I was on a plane Tuesday through Saturday. So I had stopped enjoying my friends.
Right.
I had stopped really living life, because I'd come home and I was tired and I just wanted to rest. And Sunday I'd be like, great, let's go do something. And it's Sunday. And so
Right.
maybe we're having brunch, but not a whole lot of friend and catch up time.
Right.
So I created Moments by Design. So I will show you. This is one of our new lines. So we are a party in a box.
And first of all, I think it's also pretty. And for us ladies, and that, or anybody that likes things that look nice and pretty, and they're such high quality.
Yes.
That's what's incredible. You have hit it out of the park with design and quality and just convenience and price too.
Yeah, we're actually priced
And
really
the idea,
competitively.
Leslie, she's really a smart one over here.
So what we did was I decided, hey, I want to have custom curated parties,
Yes.
because I didn't really necessarily love the paper plates. So we actually manufacture on high-end plastic.
I know, and they're so nice, and
Yeah.
you can reuse them.
You can, because we're trying to save the world too and have fun while doing it.
Right.
So
Look
we
how pretty these are.
actually manufacture all of these plates here in the States,
I
and they're
love it.
dishwasher safe.
Well, I know. I was gonna bring that up, because I see made in the USA, and I've got to really give you a shout out and be respectful for that, because so many people will outsource to China.
They do,
And I'm not saying anything wrong about China.
Yeah, it's just it's
But
nice
it's
to keep something here.
It is a big deal for people that are passionate about supporting even local businesses, supporting our country. Made in USA is huge.
Exactly. So we're kind of loving this. So yeah, we design, these are all of our designs.
I love them.
We design our cups that we send to
Now,
you.
when
and
you
again,
say we,
dishwasher
are you talking about your team designed these?
Yep.
And then you had them made.
I have an
really-
amazing team
I
and
love
cannot do
that.
it without them.
Right, exactly.
There's no way. So the boxes actually come with everything from invites. We've got digital invites for you. We've got balloons, both Mylar and latex. With this one, we have the really fun table runner. That's this lovely like grass green sequin
Right.
runner. We even kind of went a little bit extra. And while everybody loves paper straws, we kind of took paper straws to the next level.
I know. I think they're so cute.
So like this theme has this cute little rose
Yes.
and these lovely little 3D butterflies.
I love it.
and
They're so adorable.
yeah, we just went, and our graphic design team just does an
That is
amazing job.
so. How many people do you have on your graphic design team?
We have 6 right now, but we're currently always looking for more, just because each
You're
graphic
growing.
has
Right.
a different style too that they
I
bring.
love this. I love this.
So, I mean, it's everything from fun party poppers,
Look, I got to touch everything. That's
yeah,
just how I am.
it's so much fun. Our
I've got-
napkins that coordinate with our cups.
Yes.
Our cutlery, which is higher end than what
Okay,
you're
so
going to find.
all right, so yes, it is. Here's this says. It's sip sip hooray.
Sorry, I shouldn't have brought green napkins.
Oh yeah, you can't see them. You can't see them, but they say sip sip hooray, which is adorable.
Yep.
I love all this stuff.
And then we even do the little treat boxes as thank you favors,
Oh,
so that you can just kind of.
and this is for how many? 8?
So yep, we do it in increments of 8, and then you can just continue to titrate up for as many as you need. We've had people order all the way up to 150.
That is so awesome, Leslie. And okay, so here's what I think is so great because, like you said, it was by total accident.
It really was.
All right, so here she is. You're living your life, and I have no idea, and I should know this, but were you working at the time when this idea popped into your head, or were you in a transition between jobs?
I was in a transition. I
Okay.
had quit one corporate job, taken another corporate job, and just had about 9 months off in between while they were firming up my role in my division that I was going to be taking over. And
So during that 9 months, you have a birthday.
yep.
And you have a birthday, and at the last minute, you're realizing, okay, my husband is planning this party for me, and it's not going to be exactly what I want.
Yes.
You go out and you're in the hustle and bustle, trying to get nice quality merchandise, and you're just not having success.
No, I ran like 14 to 15 different places and across the Metroplex, which lovely day in traffic.
Right, exactly.
So then I was like, oh my gosh, this is why we don't entertain anymore, because I'm always on a plane and entertaining is stress and work.
Right.
And I've got enough of that.
So then, okay, because I want people to realize what inspiration looks like, what it feels like, and what continues to happen after you have an idea like this. So you're in traffic, you're going all around. When did the idea pop into your head?
So probably about so I started thinking about like, hey, this would be really neat if there was a solution. So the following day I start looking online. Is there really a solution? I find a few, but they're all paper products. Again, just not really, it's people reselling the same stuff over and over again. There was nothing that I loved, something that was custom curated, something that was high end, yes, sustainable. For me, just, being able to save a little bit of the earth is always a
Right.
good thing. And I kind of started doing more research. Can I create something like this? And turns out I could. Did a little bit of market research. Would anybody actually be interested in this? Turns out the answer was resoundingly yes.
Yes. Well, it's just like I said, it's, here's the, I think the important lesson for so many people to learn is that success happens, and you get the inspiration, you have something like this happens, and the idea pops into your head. Now, most people, that's where it ends. But the ideas that pop into your head are put into your head for a reason, and you have a responsibility associated with those. Then there are people that they're either further along in their, I call it development journey. And that's just what I call it. You're in life, we're just developing, and that's just all there is to it. We're developing in our business skills, we're developing professionally, with other skills, we're developing as people, and you start to realize that, oh my gosh, if I have an idea and I start to do some research and I keep going down that road, it's either going to come to fruition and something really awesome and amazing is going to happen, or it's not. But you have to go down that road. So my next question is, how many other ideas have you had like this pop into your head that you went down that road and then it just kind of fizzled out?
So this is the first one that I've ever really taken to fruition. And And I,
But you had other ideas.
definitely there was one entrepreneur that I met, another founder, and he told me, here is a difference between like a true entrepreneur and somebody that's going to stay in corporate. He goes, you're going to meet people that will tell you, oh, I had that same idea. I had that same idea. And and sure enough, I have. He goes, but there's a difference between actually having an idea, starting to do research, actually getting a company to launch, because getting a company to launch is a big thing,
Right.
and then continuing on down that path, and that has been kind of eye-opening to me as well, because this was truly my first foray. I had always kind of thought that I would be in corporate.
Right.
And that I would stay there.
Right.
Because it is a little disconcerting leaving that nice corporate paycheck that, was just always there, and my lovely corporate bonuses and,
Right.
Being the corporate behind the corporate credit card.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not
Definitely.
always the funnest thing.
Oh yeah, it's not, right? It's
But
like, oh.
yeah, but I mean, there was just, I've had other ideas, and now with Moments by Design, there are so many future iterations and so many other things that I'm like, you know what, I can do this,
Oh,
and
of course
we
you can.
will. And
Of course you can. And it's going to, and even because the way my brain works, I love to connect people. And I've got an amazing company in person I need to connect you with that just
love that.
literally popped into my head as we were sitting here and you were going through your box, and a way to even make it bigger and better. And so I'm really excited about this. But that's the thing is, I think it's important for people to realize that you're going to be in multiple industries, you're going to do multiple things, you're going to meet multiple people, you're going to have multiple ideas. And the ones that you start to do research on, either they're going to fizzle out or it's going to come to fruition and something big is going to happen. And the ones that don't work weren't supposed to work anyway, but you were supposed to learn something during that process. So that's why I think I love it that was the one that has really come into this incredible business. And I want you to tell everybody how long you've been in business, and also let's touch base on what were the steps that you took to launch your business, because I think people would be interested in that.
So we officially launched actually this May,
Right.
and coinciding with your lovely
Yes,
conference.
event.
So that was amazing. And before that, it took me about a year. We incorporated just as a Texas LLC. One of the biggest things that I will say as a startup, make sure that you get an attorney.
Right.
And I know a lot of us, especially I'm self-funding Moments by Design, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs choose to go that route, but make sure that you get somebody that is going to be looking out for your interest,
Right.
especially as you're bringing on employees, as you're bringing on contractors. For me, yes, what we're building at Moments by Design, how our teams integrate, how people are talking, what they engage with, how they engage is really important. Just the environment that we're building.
When did you get your business attorney?
So I actually brought on the attorney probably about 2 weeks after I did my LLC.
Okay, I love that. And did you do that just because inherently you knew that was the right thing to do, or did somebody say, make sure you get an attorney on this stat?
So I was fortunate enough to have worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and that was one of their biggest things. And sure
Right.
enough,
You
I
needed
was
it.
like, you guys are right.
Well, especially if you want to go big, I mean, you talk to anybody and they'll tell you just start the right way.
Exactly.
Start the right way from the very beginning, and you've got to really believe that you're going to go big. And that's one of the things in the book, The Subconscious Speaks. I'll put it up again just so you can see my name, Jens Johnson. Look, that's crazy,
That's
right?
so funny.
But The Subconscious Speaks. One of the things that he talks about, and this is what's so crazy, is this book is written in 1932. And I love it when you read Napoleon Hill, you read Wallace Wattles, you read these books that were written in the 30s, because the rules of success never change. The rules of life never change. Now, we might have new resources that come into the world, like social media, but the rules of success will always remain the same. And I love it because one of the things he talks about here is basically if you have 1 ounce of doubt, you're out.
Yep.
You cannot have any fear, and you really have to understand the dynamic between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And when you decide you're going to go big or go home, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go big. So from the very beginning, you get the attorney. You are, I'm sure, in constant contact with the attorney while you're planning everything. And when you launched in May, so it took you a year to prepare to do everything. When you launched in May, how big of a team did you have in May, and what did that team consist of?
So we have 6 graphic designers. We have
Already when you launched in May.
Yep.
Okay.
So 6 graphic designers. We have 2 operational staff to help with our order fulfillment. We have, a whole squadron of attorneys because we ended up doing trademarks and copyrights and everything. So we have attorneys that are specialized in that for us as well. And, employment attorneys, just general business attorneys. So, I mean, we've got a whole fleet of people that are behind the scenes.
And
100%
you are
supporting.
completely self-funding. So
Yes.
that's, and that and you talk that over with your attorney as well, I'm sure.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
Because
the
there's definitely
pros
a
and cons.
separation of church and state.
Right, exactly. Just pros and cons on so many different ways. And no, so what are just to think that you just launched in May, and what has the last few months been in your business?
It's been intense and amazing. It is probably the best to describe
Okay,
hers.
all right. I want to know the story. Your first internet sale. I want to know the story behind that.
So our first internet sale, we were week 1 of launch, and our website's up, and we've got a beautiful website, and it just randomly, we haven't done any marketing spend yet. So it's been all SEO and just organic social media. And somebody inquired from Seattle. And that was just so amazing that here, this Texas company got our first sale, officially on our website from Seattle. And so we got to ship them out a beautiful birthday box for a 50th birthday, actually. And so that was just so much fun.
Were you just like jumping up and down and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is going to work. Oh my gosh, this is going to work"?
I really was. And I'm not going to lie. Every sale right now is pretty much the same thing.
Well, that's the thing is you've got to celebrate every success along the way. Even when you became an LLC, you got to celebrate that. Even when you brought your first employee on, you got to celebrate that. When the first design was created, when you get your, it's along the way you have to celebrate, because believe me, it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
That is for sure. Yes. The highs and lows of entrepreneurship are a lot more compact than in corporate America.
No kidding, right? I mean, speak to some of your lows.
Some of my lows. So actually boxes were a huge issue for us. So while we have a beautiful box now with like our golden logo on it and everything done on the interior as well, but I mean, it was a journey. Originally, we actually had one vendor that just took off with the money. We had another vendor that had made 20,000 boxes and none of them were right.
Oh no.
And I mean, we had already paid for plates. I mean, we were
right.
I mean, we were in a few thousands worth of dollars. So I mean, that was a big journey for us, especially when I'm describing my company as, hey, it's a party in a box. And we don't have a beautiful box to send you.
No kidding. I mean, that to me, like I said, it's the quality. And I'm really big on quality. And I think your consumer that's going to buy this quality, they want everything really nice.
Exactly.
And so everything's got to be just pristine, and you've done such a great job doing that. And so that's the thing is, I mean, what I love is it has to pass your stamp of approval, and you've got a pretty high standard.
Yeah, because we were actually, I mean, our first initial 9 designs were done as of last October. It took me till May to get the boxes right. And so I was like, we're not going to launch
until you get the box right.
Yeah, and I mean, and I had a lot of business advisors that were like, Leslie, it doesn't matter. Corporate America is held out by Scotch tape in the background. You know that, which is so true. But I was like, but this is my baby, and I can make sure that it's perfect. And so we didn't launch until we had it.
Okay, so now I want to talk about did you have just mental battles that you had to fight in your brain where it's like, what am I doing? Is this going to work? But and talk to us about that, because I think it's really important. One of the things about social media is a lot of people, they just play my life is great. My life is great. Everything is wonderful. And da, da, da. And I'm really big into mental health. I just think it's so important. People struggle. There are extremely successful people that struggle with mental health issues.
Yes.
There are extremely successful people that you think, oh my gosh, their life is perfect, and their life isn't perfect. And I think that we really do need to talk about what in reality really goes on behind closed doors.
No, I'm totally with you, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs have one of the highest rates of just
Suicide.
Exactly. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't really talk about it. We don't talk about the daily struggles, and we have the Instagram perfect
Right.
life. So for me, there have definitely been times, and especially with it taking a year to launch, during that year, it was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Have I made the biggest mistake in my life? Like, what have I done? Maybe I should just go back to corporate.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like I said, the cycles are sometimes like the highest and the lowest, and I mean, it all happens in one day sometimes. I mean, there have been days where the guy took off with the money, and I'm in tears, and then
Right.
we got samples in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the plates look
Oh,
so
beautiful. Right,
amazing.
right.
And so, I mean, it's crazy. But a lot of that has just been, again, having kind of that support system. I'm very fortunate that I do have, what I call my nearest and dearest, but they're there, and they
Right.
support, and they're there for the ups, and they're there for the downs, and they're there to hear me complain and cheer and send crazy texts when we get a sale every single
Right.
time. So that's been amazing. But I think part of that too has been getting a group of entrepreneurs,
Right.
other people that are in the same situation, who have either gone through what I'm going through, going through it currently, who are kind of like, oh yeah, don't worry. That's
Right. Well, the thing is that I think it's important because people, when you decide to do something big, the first couple of thoughts is, can I do it? Am I crazy? What am I doing? Who do I think I am? And so when you have that support system and everybody has those people, they're there to say, you're not crazy. Yes, you can do it. We're going to help you. We're going to support you. And that's one of the things that's really probably the biggest impact, I think, that the mastermind that I facilitate, which that's what we do for one another, is you just keep going, because sometimes when you're going up the hill, you decide to do something and you're going up the hill, and then it starts to get hard and you start to slip back, and then you're like, is anybody looking? Is anybody looking? Because if nobody's looking, I'm just going to go back.
right back up.
But when you've got that support system, they're not going to let you go down. They're not going to let you fall. If you fall, they're going to make sure you get back up. And I think even when you talk to anybody that's successful, whether it's in business or professional athletes, they all fall. Everyone falls. It's just, how quickly do you get back up, and who are the people around you that are going to help you in a healthy way.
Yep.
Because let me tell you, have you seen the Elton John movie?
No, not yet.
The Elton John movie and then the Queen movie too.
Okay, I've seen the Queen movie.
Okay, both of them. Well, here's the thing: is when you're new in the world of any industry, you run the risk of being taken advantage of, and that's really what happened with Elton John and with Fred Mercury. I mean, they got taken advantage of. So if you're going to go to a high level of success in any industry, you got to make sure you've got your, what did you call them? Your inner,
My nearest and
your
dearest.
your nearest and dearest, because you got to have those people that are going to help you in a very healthy way and make sure that you maintain your success in a way that is going to be for your best interest and not be taken advantage of.
Yeah, it's been really interesting.
I'm sure.
Well, and even with just other entrepreneurs kind of holding me accountable, because again, buck stops with me, right? I
Right,
can do whatever
exactly.
I want. So, they're sending, hey, okay, well, you said you were going to do this by this date. Have I seen it? Da, 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 da.
Right.
Or I saw this, so great. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of that. I think you need kind of that tribe around you. And I
Right.
think that tribe is built around different people. I think, yeah, it's part of it's your nearest and dearest, and part of it's going to be, yes, those other entrepreneurs that are traveling that same journey as you. And then, I mean, I'm not shy to say this, but I mean, I go and I see coaches,
Oh,
life
you have
coaches,
to.
shrinks, I mean, all of it.
You have to.
Because at times I'm just like, oh my gosh, did I just make the biggest
Right.
mistake in my life? And I mean, and it's a big thing. And I don't want to fall into a trap. I've seen other people, some very sweet, near and dear people to me, who have fallen into some just horrible places. And I don't want to be there.
Right, right.
And
Well, here's something that I'm noticing with you that I think is a characteristic of a successful person, and that is, first of all, you're very coachable. You're very coachable, and even though sometimes it's hard to hear things, but you seek out that coaching advice. You seek out that. Another characteristic is you've surrounded yourself with great people, which is very important, and you're constantly realizing that it's not one and done. You have to keep going and going. I mean, don't you wish you could just work out once in your life and then you never had to work
That would
out
just be
again?
amazing.
I mean, believe me, I've been moving. It's been a crazy weekend, and I got on the treadmill before I got ready. And I mean, literally, listen, I've been in some incredible shape before, and golly, why do we have to keep doing this and keep doing it? But we do. And to continue to improve and to get better and better with your business and your life, you're going to have to keep seeking that advice. And, one of the things I do, and I know you're a planner because you can't be successful if you don't plan. I do my vision work in July and August and I've done this for years. And I do my vision statement, I do my vision board. In October, I start my planning for the upcoming year. But I do my personal planning on October. In November, I get with my coaches and with my mentors and with my husband and with other people that I trust. And then in December, I tweak so I came up with this. And then I consult with people because, listen, I'm never going to go to somebody and say, hey, I want your advice. I'm bringing nothing to the table, which is what a lot of people will do. People will come and say, okay, tell me what to do. Okay, tell me what to do. No, you do the work first.
Yes.
You come up with the ideas. You let me know what you're thinking, and then I'll tell you what I think.
It's the last mile.
It's exactly. And then in December, what I do is I tweak from, okay, this is what I had set. This is from the people that know me the best. And in December, I tweak it. And sometimes when I start in January, it's not even, I mean, there's obviously part of what I planned in October, but a lot of times it's a lot different. But that really did come from that very first bit of feedback that was like a punch in the gut when somebody said, you're not open to other people's ideas. And I thought, how lucky am I that somebody cared enough about me to tell me that in my early 20s. I was 24, and it was just like, oh, but that I listened to that, and I noticed, and oddly enough, I can pick it out in people so quickly that aren't coachable because I was you. Okay. That's why, but it's really important. So listen, you and I could talk forever. I think you've got so much just valuable information in you, and you're just such a good person. I mean, she is good as gold. But where do people go to purchase your Moments by Design? And anybody who is a Big Bold You show, you watch the show, you're here. What can we do for them so they can have these amazing, incredible parties?
So you can always visit us on our website, momentsbydesign.com. Follow us, and because I love Jen's, there will be a promo code for 10% off. Yes, that will run through the end of August, and it'll be Big Bold You, and that'll go active this afternoon, guys.
Okay, Big Bold You, and it's going to be 10% off. And I'm telling you, listen, not only here's one of the things I listen to Gary Vee, and I was listening to Gary Vee's podcast, one of his podcasts today when I was running, and he was talking about how important it is that we do media, that's what we're doing right now with the media. But what's even more important is the post-production. And I'm going to have my IT people cut out some really awesome parts of this, and we're going to do a ton of post-production because we want to get so many of you out there that 10% discount through the end of August. And here's the thing: you've got a birthday, your spouse has a birthday, your parents have birthdays, your friends have birthdays. It's not just birthdays, it's a lot of different other parties that you have. And so my recommendation is going to be, why don't you just get all of your parties in a box by the end of August, and then you'll have your whole rest of the year planned, and you're going to be able to save money, support this incredible business. And I know, real quickly before we close, I know you're a person that's very cause focused as well.
Yes.
And, what are some of the causes that are near and dear to your heart and potentially near and dear to your business?
So near and dear to my heart, personally, animals.
Okay.
It's one of my big life passions. But near and dear for Moments by Design is actually children. There are a lot of children out there that don't get to have amazing birthday parties. So as Moments by Design continues to grow, we've kind of got two areas that we're going to be focusing on for just basically good. Mm-hmm. And the first part is going to be our operational staff. So there are over 250,000 people here in DFW that are special needs, and most are highly functioning autistic people that just can't hold down the normal corporate jobs. Mm-hmm. But they would do amazing doing all of our planogram
Right.
and all of our packaging. And so that's actually what we want to do. We want to get big enough to bring on a whole workforce of them and
I love
give
that.
them that.
I
Give
just
them a
got
job.
chills, Leslie. I just got chills because I know that is supposed to happen, and I know it will happen. And
Yeah.
that's amazing. That is amazing. And you know what? That was a question that we did not even prepare whatsoever. I just felt inspired to ask you that, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yes.
So, if you have not subscribed to the Jens Johnson YouTube channel, Jens with a G, please do so. If anything that we shared today and we spoke about with Leslie touched your heart, it helped you, or you feel that can help somebody else, please share our show and subscribe and let other people know, because we want to make this world a better place, one person at a time. And please do tune in next Monday at 2 p.m. Central. Invite your friends, and we'll get you all the information on that 10% coupon. So until we meet again next Monday, be big, be bold, and most importantly, be you. Bye-bye.